Hey everybody, Mike here. Today I wanted to talk about something that I've never really talked about, at least on YouTube or even publicly, which is how I feel about the CCIE, and more specifically, how do I feel about it in the year 2021? I have two CCIEs. I have one in Route Switch, which I got in 2013, and then I have one in Data Center, which I got in 2015. So I've had them going on about 8 years since my first one. And to be honest, I started preparing for the CCIE in 2008, I think, was when I was really decided I wanted to go for it. So it was a long road. It was about 5 years for me or so. So I put a lot of work into it. I invested personally probably $10,000 to $15,000 over the period of 5 years to get my certification, because at the time my employer didn't pay for anything. So I was doing a lot of the funding out of pocket. If I got a bonus or something, that was going straight into my training. So I think I'm qualified to talk about, is it worth it, first of all? And then more specifically, how do I feel about it in 2021? So if you're considering the CCIE, if you've thought about it, if you're kind of on the fence, hopefully this video will help you get a little bit closer to a decision. So the first question is the CCIE worth it at all? I can say without any shadow of a doubt in my mind, yes, 1,000 times. It absolutely is worth it. Listen, a lot of people around the world recognize the CCIE. Even though my job now has no involvement with kind of like the day-to-day CLI, banging on the keyboard type stuff, I still can't go more than maybe 2 weeks without someone mentioning or commenting on my CCIEs. So in my opinion, just the recognition alone from your peers, from your customers, from your company, your boss, that alone is worth its weight in gold. You become kind of branded as an expert in a lot of different things, even though you're not, because the reality is, in my opinion, all the CCIE really did for me was taught me how to learn very fast and how to troubleshoot and kind of think on my feet. Because at the time I was a little more calculated. Now I've found that after two CCIEs, I kind of think a little bit quicker and I can move a little faster through my thought process because it was so kind of grilled into my memory through all of that prepping and all of the lab hours that I put in. The next reason I think it's worth it, financially. People can argue till the end of days that, a CCNP could make as much as a CCIE. To that I say, they're lying. The reality is a CCIE will earn more than a CCNP in 99% of cases. Is there a CCNP out there earning as much as a CCIE? Probably, but guess what? That CCNP would earn more if he got a CCIE, or she. It's just the way the world works. I'm certainly not complaining. I have two. I will say, once you get more than one, it's a diminishing return. So I got one. I got a very nice raise. At the time, it was probably about 25% raise, which is pretty, I was pretty happy with that. But when I got my second one, I kind of sat back and waited for another raise, and I got nothing. So I definitely feel like the second one was worth it, but it wasn't worth it as much as the first one. And I want to add something to this as well. When you even start, the minute you say, I'm going to go after the CCIE, I started seeing benefits there. I had people commenting all the time saying, oh, he's getting his CCIE. He's going to take a test. He's really good. He's getting his CCIE. So even just studying for the written exam and all that, I still saw benefits. I always put written exams that I'm working on my resume, and I always put in progress or something like that and a date I plan on finishing them. I got so many job offers when I had CCIE in progress than ever. Even after I passed, I got more job offers with just the written. So that alone is also worth it and makes it worth it to me. Now, what do I think about 2021? Has the CCIE lost its value? Does it make sense anymore? Where do I stand on that? Here's the thing. Listen, in 2000, it was probably actually further than 2008, probably about 2006 is when I decided I wanted to get a CCIE, maybe even before then. And it wasn't until 2008 where I really started prepping. But either way, listen, when I started, people were talking constantly about how the CCIE was dying. It lost its value. There's people cheating. And so because of all the cheating and the dumps, it had lost its value. It wasn't worth it anymore. Nobody recognized it. I heard, this technology is going to surpass this and the CCIE is going away, blah, blah, blah. I am so glad that I did not listen to any of that advice. I'll also tell you that just by nature of being an engineer, and you're probably the same if you're watching this, we are classic overthinkers. We analyze things, we plan, we Google. I can't tell you how many Google searches I ran to see, saying like, is the CCIE still worth it? CCIE value in, 2008 or whatever the case is. I mean, I was constantly, for years, I was sitting there thinking, is it worth it? Do I want to invest the time and money? What about my family and my friends? The reality is, it was a positive benefit to me in my life across the board. Now, in 2021, how do I feel? It's the same thing. it's still worth it. People still recognize it. And the reality is this: if you had 100 network engineers in a room, I would venture to guess maybe 10% of them would be considering the CCIE, or maybe more than that. We'll say 25% are considering the CCIE. Out of that 25%, maybe 10% are even going to take action. Maybe they buy a book and they say, I'm going to schedule the written exam. Out of that 10%, I would say maybe half of them will actually could follow through, take the exam, pass, and schedule a lab exam. So now we're down to like 5 people. Out of those 5 people, maybe half of them, or maybe 3/4 by that point, they're pretty committed, will pass and get their CCIE. So in my opinion, a room of 100, you might have 4 or 5 new CCIEs if you're lucky. So to me, it's still a great way to set yourself apart, and especially in this world we live in where everybody's distributed, there's lots of remote work and that kind of thing, you need every advantage you get to stand out and to be different than your competitors, which in this case is other network engineers. Not only that, I think if you're in this field, you like learning, or you should like learning, and if you don't, you should learn to like it, because once you do, it's a lot of fun. And to be honest, I had so much fun labbing for my CCIE. I oftentimes consider a third for no other reason than I just had fun getting on the lab and playing with it and learning all these really, kind of peculiar scenarios and that sort of thing. So I found it fun. I learned a lot. I became a better engineer. I earned more money, and I earned more respect professionally. And right or wrong, listen, if I had the same experience, should I demand the same amount of respect from people? I would hope so. But the reality is now the certifications just talk for themselves. And I think that's really cool. So if you're considering going for your CCIE in 2021, I say you should absolutely do it, 100% yes. And really that goes for any certification other than maybe some really entry-level ones that I'm not a huge fan of. But that said, I hope this video was helpful. Like I said, it's a bit different than my normal stuff, but I really felt I wanted to get the message out there because I know when I was considering going after my first CCIE, I was constantly on the fence. So I thought this would be helpful. If you found it helpful, drop something in the comments. Let me know if you're considering the CCIE. What are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's still worth anything? And let me know what you guys think. So until next time, take care and stay safe.